Hey girl, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're getting into something that has completely transformed how I approach goals with my clients in business. And yes, I'm talking about the magic of 90-day goals. Let's go. So, why 90-day goals? Well, I want to think about it this way. When you set your yearly goals, they don't often feel attainable. I know we tell you to dream big and like step out the box and all of that good stuff, but I think sometimes we either do it in a really good space and we're excited about it, or there's parts of us that kind of doubt if this will happen, or it feels really distant, right? And I think we sometimes walk away feeling like it's not really attainable, or that uncertainty kind of does something for us. Or for some of us, it's like instantaneously overwhelming. Like, how am I going to do all of these things? But 90 days, that changes the mix if we introduce that into the equation. And that's just the right amount of time to really focus, achieve, and pivot if you need. If you learn to work in 90-day chunks instead of taking it for this like big year kind of journey, okay? And I wanted to really break down why that approach is so powerful, if that's okay with you. So let's see, let's picture this. You have a big ambitious goal for the year, which hopefully lots of you guys do. And it's like that goal is a mountain, right? But we're going to start at the base of the mountain and you're going to look up at the peak. It's daunting, right? Now imagine breaking that journey into smaller segments. So there's base camps along the way. So it's not that I have to start at the base and get all the way to the top right away. There's actually these little checkpoints along the way. And I think I'm not a mountain climber, honey, but I want to say that's what they do. They have particular points that they get to. Sometimes that's where they stop and they rest. And that's how they eventually get to like these really high like summits and things like that, right? And that's the same way that we want you to approach your goals, or I'm suggesting that you approach your goals. This idea of milestones, and instead of us getting like all the way or trying to get to the summit or thinking that's what we need to do, we've got to go gung ho and get to this thing like ASAP right away. Instead, looking at the milestones. So each segment becomes an achievable climb for you. This way, if you work on the chunks, eventually you're going to reach the top of the summit. Eventually, you're going to get to that goal. So, this huge idea now becomes like this powerful mini milestones along the way, right? And why I really love this idea is it allows you to celebrate along the way, because sometimes we don't even realize how hard we're working and the brilliant work we're doing, and we don't give ourselves enough credit, which saps our motivation. And then we feel like we're not enough. I can't do this. It's not happening fast enough for me. Maybe it's not working. Maybe I'm not ready. All the negatives rush in and it steals from your potential. It also steals from your reality, which may be that you're probably doing more than you realize, and you're probably more on track than you know. Okay. In our mastermind group, I've always implemented 90-day goals. Everyone comes in and we start there. It doesn't really matter what your business is, because we all kind of need the same strategies, ideas, and concepts to move forward. But your goals are specific to you. So we're going to start there. And what we've realized is it's made a phenomenal difference. We're more focused and we achieve more in those 90 days than we sometimes did in an entire year. And the best part, we can adjust our strategies quickly rather than waiting for the year end to realize like, oh my God, we're not there, or like, oops, that really didn't work out as I thought. I think the year makes it easier for us to not adjust the issues or patterns of behaviors that set us up for sabotage in the first place. Looking at it closely helps you to get to the problem areas a whole lot faster, right? So when I went to Purpose House retreat at the end of the year in November, that was one of the things that I did with the group. We mapped out our goals. We mapped it out for the year, then we broke it down into the quarter, then we broke it down by month. So you kind of knew what was coming, right? I still got my calendar here, even though they had their workbook and could do it in there. I also gave them calendars. For me, I'm visual, and it helps me to put the things down in the quarter. So it was a whole process from mapping out the goals, and then from there, after we mapped out the goals, breaking it down even more, right? And then, you can put that in whatever works for you. So for me, it was the annual calendar that works a little bit better for me. And why I liked it is because this year I want to be intentional about knowing what comes in the quarter and then knowing what I need to like launch each thing to get it out. And then I can even plan out the pieces of that launch so I can see it a lot better. Because I found that things were kind of creeping up on me quickly and I would miss opportunities, kind of overshoot my window, end up having to do a lot in a short period of time. And that was really stressful. And I want to take that away this year. My word this year is ease. Ease, especially in my business, where my systems are repeatable and I'm not at that place of like doing everything with like within a week span because it just doesn't work, right? So this idea of planning it in chunks and working in those chunks, knowing my main goal, to me takes so much stress off the table. In addition to, we can troubleshoot a little bit better. Okay, so even as I'm talking to you, my mind goes to a woman in our prior cohort who was really kind of hesitant to review her finances. And this is a problem for a lot of us. A lot of us are avoiding things, and it's easy for that to get lost in the big picture if we don't really take a look at it, okay? And I think she was avoiding her finances because it was outside of her comfort zone. The numbers were scary. The debt made her queasy. The growth even made her insecure. Even though she was doing really well in some areas, it was like, can I handle this? Is it, is it making sense? Like, will I still have enough to like cover this or do X or Y? Okay. But when she finally followed instructions and used her 90-day framework, which included following up with the CPA and really getting into her finances, she uncovered areas that needed attention. And part of her action in that time allowed her to start making informed decisions for her business. Did it suck in that moment? A little bit, right? But did it suck less than being in a hole at the end of the year? Absolutely. Did it mean she now has a better way to track everything and can be on top of things now that she's done like the messy work? Absolutely. And of course, that means this boosted her financial health, as well as she understood what was really going in and coming out of her business. And then just that she did that really just took her confidence to a whole nother level, okay? So now let's really get into the specifics of, how do we set these 90-day goals and what makes them so effective? Well, first, it's about breaking down your yearly goals into smaller, manageable pieces. It's like, I'm not going to eat the whole pie and be like this glutton. I'm going to break it down slice by slice. Secondly, it's about the regular check-ins like we talked about. It's easier to find a problem and address it when it's a smaller problem before it's a larger issue and there's more work to backtrack into it. Some of us are coming into this with larger issues, and that's what makes it hard. We ain't even started with the small problem. It's been going on for so long, unaddressed, that it's a hot mess. But it doesn't mean that you should keep avoiding it. Okay, today was actually our annual vision board party here in New York. It was so dope. Okay, and so many conversations came out of that space. I was talking to my partner in crime about this, and one of it is, we as women, we are really longing for spaces to connect, sisters to laugh with, shared experiences. We want spaces where we can share our vision and, create new legacies with people who really get it, right? The creativity in the room was just like off the chain. The shares were so inspiring, and it really just reflected this age of women coming into themselves and being intentional in how they get there. Okay, now the getting there is where this conversation today comes in, and it's so important because so many of us are creating really great visions and we are intentional in what we want, but we also have to be intentional in the actions, the atmosphere, the habits that get us there. Like, if you want to be more fit, for example, like, what is your goal for that? Yeah, you can put somebody working out on your board. Yes, you can see it every day. And yes, the universe is going to work, but can you give the universe something to work with, girl? I can't say I want to be fit every day and I'm sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. Like, it's supposed to inspire you for action too. So what will you do? And how often? Make that measurable so you can hold yourself accountable. I think that's often where we also fall short, right? We're not really asking ourselves those key questions. What will I do? How often? And we're not taking the time to really use that to hold ourselves accountable. Your vision requires evaluating and adjusting your strategies or your approach. Okay, and that might mean, which is really the last part to this whole thing, that might mean that you may have to face some hard truths in your journey about yourself. And yes, that can absolutely be uncomfortable, but it's necessary for the life that you want. A lot of you are looking at your careers, your relationships, your home, and shaking your head because you know, like, this ain't it. When I was creating my vision for my life when I was younger and dreaming about who I wanted to be when I was finally an adult, this wasn't it. Right? I may not have the picket fence, or, I didn't expect so much like financial worry, right? When we used to sit and wish we was a kid again, that's where a lot of us are right now. We want to wish that we were a kid again when we had less worries and concerns. And I get it. It sucks. But avoiding it really makes it worse. Okay. Avoiding looking at it isn't serving you either. So I'm gonna call you to the front of the room. Like, let's address the elephant in the room. It's easy to shy away from areas that we're not confident in. And this space with me, y'all, it's not always gonna be easy. But I promise if you listen and you show up for yourself and you do the work, or you at least try, and you put the skills and strategies in, things will shift for you. Some of us are not confident in areas like our finances or even the analytics that really drive our businesses. And I was at this conference. I almost want to run over and get the book, but it was the Her Suite conference there with that Marsha put on, and one of the women on the panel, she worked in a bank, and she talked about, if you're not good steward over your money, your personal finances, like, you're not going to be a good steward over your business. So a lot of us are not good stewards over our little blessing. So how are we going to be good stewards over our big blessing? A lot of us suck at managing our own personal finances. So therefore, that is why you're struggling in your business finances. So we have to address it. Otherwise, it's going to continue to struggle. Life is really about these repeatable patterns in your thinking, repeatable patterns in your actions. So it's not just that it happens in your home or just that it happens in like a partner relationship. It will happen in your business. It'll happen in how you show up at work or how you don't, right? It'll happen in how you deal with people, how you deal with conflict. It really does, like, move through all aspects of your life. And that's why it's really good to sit down and do the work to figure out, how am I showing up and why am I showing up this way? What is it costing me? What do I need to do so I can be more effective? I've really seen this a lot in our mastermind recently, right? We've seen time and time again that confronting the truths head on really leads to those breakthroughs. Why? Because you get a real assessment of where you are. You get to stop that false narrative that, made that maybe I'm not doing well, for example. I'm sorry. We get to cut that narrative out. Like a cancer, cut that thing out, because you get to see your truth, right? So while I think I'm not doing well, let's say in terms of like social media, I'm big on being visible on social media, and you're thinking, oh, no one's watching, no one's engaging, my stuff isn't doing well. But then you look at the analytics and it's like, oh, shoot, like, I've gained 50 followers in the last week and my engagement has gone up like 200%. Oh, so the narrative isn't true because the numbers just told you that. Right? Sometimes we're not looking at our numbers and our answer, instead of looking at it financially, it's okay, I need to work harder. Do you? Or do you need to work more effectively? Are you responding to the right things? Are you responding to your money trauma? We actually had someone come and do a workshop on that in our mastermind group. That was really fascinating. I got to get her to come on and do a session with me. But yeah. So the sooner you face your truth, the faster you create space for the plan to navigate the yucky spaces that you aren't proud of, that's corrupting your vision. Right? We can't stick everything in the closet. It seeps out, and it seeps out into parts of your life. And it takes away your joy, right? It takes away some of that motivation, some of that willingness to really show up and do the work, right? To celebrate you, to get to other levels and opportunities because we haven't addressed those like nasty places. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the goals. I want to show you how to adjust the goals. Like, let's come back to that, right? And I want to give you a concrete example really quickly. So I'm thinking about the same mastermind group. Let's say one of my 90-day goals, or one area that I want to really focus on with them, I'm trying to be intentional in, is like I really want to offer them more resources because it really aligns with, you know, being like the one-stop place for them. I want this to be like the one coaching program that everyone pivoting and scaling, all my Black and brown women in business really flock to, because it's like, okay, we need this. And they don't have to chase all the shiny things. They can get what they need to have a clear plan and start to build out and show up and be visible and confident and really dominate the spaces with their expertise. So that's what I want, but I can't just want it. I want to build some goals and action around it. So one area, for example, is increasing our resources in the mastermind. So I can start there, and then I've got to think about, okay, if that's my goal, then what's going to be like my action steps leading to that, right? So I have a big vision for our program. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen with you guys because I love the visuals. Let's see if this will cooperate with me. So we go from big vision to more digestible pieces. So I want to improve the quality of resources of the mastermind. Great. How am I going to do that? I'm motivated to do that because I want to support my clients. I know I want ease in my business, and I want y'all to have that too. And I want to create, I know that I am like really creative and knowledgeable, and that's the strengths that I bring to this, that I can do this work. So we're going to start with the mini goals. So I want to create a resource. I'm probably going to create either a mindset or business resource. And I want to probably do like one a month. I want to give this a measure for me, right? And that's kind of attainable for me. So, and now I'm going to break it down into action steps, right? So maybe I'm going to research the best needs for my group, which I have just from our conversations. I know what they need in the season that they're in, so I can really cultivate that. That we're going to develop that resource, whether it's like a lead magnet or something supportive for them, and then we're probably going to build out training around it. So those would be my steps, right? So then I get to check it off as I go, and now I've got like these extra like mini milestone steps, even for my mini goal, right? So I can get excited about doing the research. Like next week I could sit down and it's like, it's not just I want to get to this amazing program. I sit down and I know, okay, this week I need to research what my people need so that then I can create that. I've done the research this week. Cool. Next week I can start to develop what that might look like. What are each of the components going to be? What do I want to share with you guys? Then I'm going to create it and put it there because I want it to be done. And then I could really say I've already done it. But I also then want to create a little training around that so they know how to use it, right? I think one of the places we lose out sometimes is we give people all this information, but we don't teach them how to do it. So now if I keep that up, by the end of my year, I get to this place of I would have built out a phenomenal program. If I don't keep it up, when I revisit this at the end of the month, I'm going to revisit it to see how I'm doing. I can see, okay, did I create my one for the month? No, what happened? And I get to brainstorm around that. Maybe I didn't have enough time. Maybe I got stuck with developing it because I was trying to do too much of it myself and I needed some support there. I get to assess, right? And not just let it go. And it continues to be a problem and a bigger one, and it snowballs and I don't address it. Right. So do you see the power of really breaking this thing down? Even if I reevaluate this at the 90-day mark, I can see like, oh, well, in the last 3 months, girl, you completed 2 out of 3. I might be okay with that, or I might not. I might get to assess, okay, what worked and what didn't, right? What worked well, what maybe generated information for them and generated revenue for me. I can do those things and I can audit it better and then make better decisions for my business. I can't do that if I'm ignoring it, right? I'm ignoring the steps that's required to get me there, and I'm ignoring the outcome as well. Okay, so I hope this is starting to click and you see the value of it. Okay, because now it's your turn. So I want you to think about this. What's one area you want to focus on for the next 90 days? Can you break that down into actionable steps? And really keep in mind, this is a journey, guys. Have fun with it, learn from it, and don't be afraid to ask for help or connect with other women who understand the power of elevating their vision and who won't laugh at your goals, right? I remember when I created my vision board a couple of years ago, I put on there that I wanted to run the New York City Marathon. And at the time, I was active in terms of like running. And you guys know me a lot, or those who know me know that I run, I do marathons now, but I didn't start there. My real athlete friends who know me know that I hated distance. I used to find all kind of ways to get out of that thing. So it's really ironic that now I run a lot of longer distances, but it didn't start there. And even when I got back into running after having kids, it was just about being active and being healthy. And I started training on my own, and I happened to get to a race, and I saw this amazing group of women. I'm like, who are they? And I did some research and found out that it was Black Girls Run. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And I figured out who they were and where to meet. And I started going on runs with them. And even running with them, it wasn't like I didn't come into it knowing that I wanted to run a marathon, even though eventually it became a possibility, and that became something on my board. It wasn't like, I don't know, marathon, me, 26.2 miles. I'm happy to run 30 minutes. Furthermore, 5 hours. Right? I used to laugh at them like, what? I used to laugh at their goals. Like, you running 6 miles for what? For fun? Right. And then eventually, before I knew it, because I was hanging around them, I was hanging around big vision people, it started to rub off. So now I was running longer because I was doing training runs with them too. Then I was doing crazy runs with them, like running through the night and all these other things. And eventually that led to just an idea that was on my board to run and complete the New York City Marathon. And I did that. So don't sleep on your vision, but at the same time, you got to position yourself, right? And did I end up with many goals and breaking it down the way that I did with you guys? I had to, once I realized I was committed to the bigger goal, to the big vision. Once I realized I was on track for it, it was like, oh, what do I need to do to get there? Because you had to qualify and do certain things to get there. So that became my goal. Then it was like, oh, in order to be able to run to qualify, I've got to be able to train a certain amount. So then those became my mini goals and actions. I had to get up at a certain time. I had to change my habits to align with that. And everything put me on this path to get to the bigger picture goal. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. And those are the things I get to be excited about. And honestly, they tell you when you run a marathon, like the hardest part is not the marathon itself. Like, yes, it's challenging, but it's everything up until that. It's who you have to become to get there. The person who has to commit to training. It's celebrating when you run like 3 miles, 6 miles, you get up to 10, 12, 18, and you do this thing that you've never done before and didn't think that you could. Like, those milestones are so powerful that even if you never run 26.2, because you don't, I did not prior to that race, you are so confident in your ability to do it that it's like, time you get there, I'm going to do it. And that's what I want for you guys. By the time you get to the end of the year, you already know, before you even see the end, I'm going to get there. I'm going to finish it because I've been doing all the little steps to get me there. I've been building the habits, connecting to the right people, being in the spaces that support me and encourage me. And I've been looking at it and doing the work. And so much so that now I believe that I can, even when I didn't before. Okay, and I feel like I could leave you guys with that. Be willing to work through the uncomfortable spaces that's preventing you from being effective with those goals. Okay, because if you do that, it's going to set you up to do amazing things personally and for your businesses as well. This whole conversation is just about making your goals tangible, visible, actionable, and possible for you. And the best part is, if you do that, you get to really see your progress along the way, and you get to make adjustments in real time. So it's not like this needs to be perfect. It's not like you need to get everything right. There's lots of room to fail and mess up because you now have a window of intentionality to get back on track. All right. I hope that makes sense to you guys. It's exciting having these conversations with you. And I hope it makes sense. Okay. And I want to hear from you. I would love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on the whole 90-day goal thing? Have you tried this approach before? Share your experiences and your plans in the comments below, and let's really learn from each other and build a community of goal getters, which is so funny because our mastermind is actually called the Goal Slayers Mastermind. So this is how you slay your goals, honey. You get yourself a 90-day plan and you break it down and you get excited about the littlest thing that you can do that's going to move you forward to the big things, okay? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit whatever notification bell, honey, so that you don't miss a thing. Keep chasing those goals, and I will see you in the next video. We're on a roll so far, and I can't wait to keep supporting you. Like, you are amazing. Keep doing amazing things. And if you have questions, reach out. Let's connect. If you want to be in the mastermind, that information is down below. And let's make 2024 such a powerful and impactful year. I'm Amanda Fludd, and we will talk very, very